Howard Jones served two different outfits, which would be Dicey's dad. And all down through Samuel Jr., that crew, all of them, most all of them served in the Civil War. So our people have been engaged in this country, the history of our country since day one. It's a wonderful thing for us to know that.
Is there any of the Osteen family identified out there, do you know?
No, who told us, who we got that word from was Hicks Summey.
Hicks Summey?
Hicks Summey. And Mr. Summey is now passed away, but he took Daddy and me, Uncle Ray, and G, myself, to the site.
I'll see if I can find that.
And he told us, he said he played it at the time, he was in his 70s, probably mid-70s or later. And he told us, he said, I played in this cemetery when I was a little boy. Played behind the stones. And this has been here all the time since I was little. And this has been in '79 when we went there. And he said that locals told him that members of the Osteen family and maybe other families and the Kings is a very old cemetery. But he said they called it Preacher King Cemetery, not necessarily. And why they did that was because Reverend Benjamin King, also a brother to Joseph and Samuel, was buried there. Wasn't necessarily, but the property there, where that cemetery is at, actually belonged to King. It belonged to Benjamin maybe and some, but they were descendants of Samuel who actually owned that property. It seemed like a 1,000-acre tract at one time.
It was Benjamin's.
But it was a big tract of land, and it was sold off and finally, till it's like down to 20 acres, and the cemetery was still on. But that's sort of what we know about. But Hicks Summey is who told Dad, don't pray to be that. And we went there, and we're very fortunate that all the work we put in, and we've actually secured, securely have control of it. And that's a good thing. Anybody else have anything?
I just wanted to say that Grandma Dicey had a legend of her own. She was married 8 or 9 or 10 times. We don't know how many times.
She married until she got it right.
and everybody loved her, and the people up there always called her Aunt Dicey. She was a midwife. She was a, let me see, I heard that she was read tea leaves, and she was a farmer, a postmistress, a little bit of everything. And the story is that her second husband, which would have been my grandfather, was like 30 years older than she was. She was like 28. And I don't know how many children she had before, but they had 3 children. And it was told that she went over the mountain to church one Sunday, and he came back over the mountain to her church with a marriage license, flowers, and chocolate candy for the kids.
What's that?
This was in the Ozark Mountains of Arkansas. Johnson County or something, Johnson County.
So she
Johnson
had,
County.
so people always called her Aunt Dicey. I know kids that my age that would, one time we was going and he said, we went to Aunt Dicey's and got a Christmas tree. And it was just, it's kind of,
And she also started the women's liberation movement.
That sounded like it.
and then they'd go to Oklahoma and pick cotton.
Oh, boy.
And a lot of the children stayed out there. So some of her children are in Oklahoma.
She lived in the Ozarks, so if anybody wants to go out that way, go to the Ozarks, that's a good place to go, to something. Ozark.
Sailors.
Sailors.
So anyway, it's cotton.
We went up there when they went out there.
Well, maybe you folks in Florida, that's what I'm saying. Y'all have any?
Nobody's been married 15 times now? Fascinating. That's a lot of mine.
Hang around, we got this place in Arkansas.
As you was.
Rick, o'clock, that means we got 40 minutes.
And then once I bring back, everything has to be back like it was.
52 minutes.
Yeah, right back there.
17, 37, and 18, 20.
Yeah, she was older, getting on up there.
And it had all this information in it.
Well, now that stopped the red light, didn't have no brakes.
Oh, my.
Oh, no.
And so he just started up from a red light,
You stopped him.
and
He stopped you.
he stopped. It just happened that I wasn't going that fast to, doing a whole lot of damage.
He always told us about going up a mountain. And,
Tryon Peak.
Yeah.
You know where Tryon
Yeah,
Peak is?
yeah.
Yeah.
They sent him up Tryon Peak with a gas truck.
Yeah.
Sure did. And when the front wheels come off,
You said,
I mean, I'm not kidding you, it's a peak like that. And he tried to climb that with a gas truck.
and he,
And the front wheels come loose. And just by the grace of God, he was able to get that thing back down.
Oh, really?
And he walked in and handed them the keys and said, I'm done.
So-
So he wouldn't go back.
I'm there.
And they got another man to go back the next day,
he was hypocrite.
and he died. Lost control of that truck and it killed him.
Clean up the,
Sure did. So they decided they wouldn't send trucks up there anymore, and they ran a pipeline all the way up. They had that tower up there, they had to have gas. That was the wrong way to do it.
I think it's raining. You're going to stay,
Yeah, I told you it was coming.
stay a few days. Y'all are going to stay.
they'll probably go back
Well,
tomorrow
now,
or next day.
talking about
Like I
Tron,
said, I got in.
where DG lives,
They wanted me to
Yeah.
cook for a little
he's got a
bit.
clear view
Okay.
of Tryon Mountain.
Yes.
And he can watch the sun. He can tell what season it is by what time
Wow.
it comes over the mountain.
And I'm taking a long-term soda.
I mean, he's just like looking right out the window.
Yeah. Well, he's right there on the ridge, isn't he? Looking in the gorge there.
Looking right over
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, sure
Over
is.
that gorge and down.
Well, Boyd, have you ever been to Boyd's house when he was alive? Same thing. Right there on that. In fact, as you come across Green River Gorge there, you can look up on the ridge and see Boyd's house.
Money and it turned into the.
I mean, it's just overlooking the ridge, or overlooking the gorge,
I like them too.
So now I do them from when we have the school kids come in the afternoon, and then in the summertime we have school age kids.
Yeah, they give those free lunches too, though. Anybody can come.
And when they freed the slaves, they didn't want to leave the plantations. That
That's
was
right.
That was their life.
That's all they knew.
And they didn't have any place to go.
That's exactly right. Y'all, I'm terrible with names, okay? So tell me your names on this video and then I'll remember it, maybe, okay?
Winnie,
You're Winnie and you are from,
Kings,
no,
Dicey.
where do you live?
oh, not Tulsa, Oklahoma, Sands.
Tulsa, Oklahoma. And you are?
And I'm Daryl, her husband,
Okay, Daryl.
Tulsa, Oklahoma.
All righty. And your last name is
Mansfield.
Mansfield. Okay. Daryl and Winnie Mansfield.
That's correct.
All
We're happy
righty.
to be here today.
Well, we're just really pleased to have you all.
But anyway,
And of course, Ken and Linnell Goodman from Lakeland, Florida. And I'm sorry, you're close kin here somewhere, but I don't know your name.
Paul Jackson.
Paul Jackson, okay.
Now, I live in the big city of Old Fort, North Carolina.
Oh, Ford. Well, you made an effort to come too, didn't you? Well, that's great. And I'm Gary, and this is my wife, Joyce.
And he looks like you look like Gerald.
Yeah, he does.
Well, that's,
Makes sense, don't it?
yeah, he's my nephew.
Yeah. Well,
We both like to talk, so
I'm glad y'all all came, and if I can help you in any way, that Facebook page would be a big help to you.
Okay. Yeah, Wendy pulls up the Facebook.
Good,
every once in a
good.
while.
That's where I learn everything from him.
I've got a tree on Ancestry.com of our family, and it's almost 20,000 now. Almost every one of them documented. I've been working on about 17 years.
Well,
his cousin, we
Kings.
haven't talked to him in a while.
look the
Does
best
it?
of anybody around here.
Here in Franklin, Tennessee.
Ah,
Yeah, I mean, somebody
He used to be a Baptist minister.
okay.
And he was-
They must like more of their people than anybody else.
you know what
For
I
the
told
Baptist,
Gary
yeah.
when he was putting up this pole? He says,
We
something
wasn't
about,
until Reese was about this tall and he was
you know, if something happened to him, you know.
baptized Episcopal.
I said, well, if something happened to you,
Been
honey,
at Lawton,
you
we came
just,
back
I'll
and
just
had
dig
to
you a
go to
hole
church.
and bury you right here.
Get a couple of rocks.
You know what I said? I'd be honored to be buried right here. Where else would you, I mean, you know, that's a good place I'd ever want to be buried in.
If it's marked or not,
Yep,
God
that's it.
knows.
God knows, that's
This
exactly
is
right.
just a place for dust. Go back.